Hello, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and always with me, my disapproving hetero life mate. Oh, my feelings. Good evening to you, sir.
They should have never given you control of anything.
Yes, I've got control. What is the Reel McCoy? It is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, you watch it, come back to us, and we break it down, geek on it, and give you everything you need to know and more, because we just are that kind of nerds. We have a special guest. I think is it our second guest of 2023, right?
Yeah.
Our second guest of 2023, Jacob from Society Reviews. How you doing, sir?
How we doing tonight? I'm ready to roll.
Let's ready to rock.
Had 17 cans of Monster. Let's do this.
Nice. Right. Please, before I plug my own stuff, take it away, Jacob. Plug your own stuff.
Well, I have a little YouTube channel called Society Reviews, just slowly growing. Doing a bunch of content on there. Have our Monday night movie review show. Tuesday, we have our own podcast, the Barroom Podcast, talking about the biggest news in entertainment. I have 1 minute reviews, which is the movie reviews that I cover for the week that we do on the site as well. I also do some stuff for Bounding in the Comics, Bounding in the Sports. We do our own weekly show on Wednesday nights, the Black Pill stream. And then you may just see me pop up on other people's streams randomly throughout the course of the week too. So you never know exactly where to find me, but you'll find me somewhere.
Great. Social media, you have your old account back. Apparently.
Yeah, so I had my old account back after it was banned for like a year and a half, and now I'm just trying to figure out exactly like what to do with it, because I have been using the Society Movies. So Society Movies and Society Reviews, those are both the Twitter handles that I use, so you can follow me there. I'm also on Twitch, looking at building up on Rumble. I think we have like maybe 4 more subscribers on Rumble until we can start streaming there as well. So we're just working on
to Hogwarts Legacy. Or not
I
yet?
have not, but apparently I pissed off a lot of Harry Potter fans over my comments over the last few weeks because I've said this many times. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I haven't seen a single Harry Potter movie or read a single Harry Potter book. So when the whole video game controversy happened, I said, you know what? Explain to me the four houses if I'm a stupid person. And from what I got from people who are supposedly fans of Harry Potter is that Slytherin is like the bad guy house. Gryffindor is the good guy house. Ravenclaw is like your art student, like snobby, smart people house. And then Hufflepuff is like borderline autistic people. And then that's the comment that apparently upset a whole lot of people.
You would get that from a movie nerd Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
However, if you're a book fan, I found that fucking insulting what you just said, but it's fine, dude. Dude, it's
apparently everyone identifies as Hufflepuff now, and it's like that's great, I guess. Question mark.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but this is definitely not a Harry Potter stream. However, if you want to interact with our show, you can always follow me on Twitter at Meffistoe. You can always follow me on Instagram if you don't want to use Twitter. That's totally fine. Mephisto79. And you can always email the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. I don't need you to come and to subscribe. Just watch the show. Watch the show, share it around. Don't need your likes, don't need your subs. Just come in, watch the show, enjoy yourself, and that is about it. However, for this channel, on Monday, I do a watch party on Mondays. Same as the Twitch watch party, but not exactly because it is YouTube. So I ask you, go grab a copy of whatever movie I'm doing, and we'll watch it together. And of course, I don't have it set up, but I have a timer. So you can literally sync yourself to me. We can enjoy ourselves watching a movie. However, because Harry Potter is fucking hot right now, I put up a poll on Twitter and people want me to suffer. So I'm going to do Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone on Monday. And I will probably the next 8 weeks, I'm going to do all of them. Yeah, that's my problem, not yours. And that is about it. Let's just start the show, shall we? We do it every freaking week. Let's do it.
Because tonight we're reviewing Mortal Kombat, ladies and gentlemen. Movie for the night.
Production take 2.
Right. Behind the screen is when we turn to All My Feelings and get the lowdown on everything behind the screens because we are continuing our Alfred Hitchcock month, and we're reviewing Rear View Mirror again.
I literally did the same thing. That's such a hard title to say, and it's so simple, but it's like you say it too fast, it just comes out very odd. It's like Rear Window. It's like, wait, rear window?
Rear window?
Yeah.
Let's
like, good luck saying it 5 times fast. Good luck saying it once.
Let's say I made a horrible mistake and did a rear something else, but never mind. Right.
Yeah.
All My Feelings, take it away.
Must be that Hufflepuff humor.
Yeah, I guess.
A lot of huffing and puffing, that's why.
So to start off with, as we've discussed before, Hitchcock hated shooting offset because he wanted to control absolutely everything. So he had Hal Pereira and Joseph Millen build the entire set inside the Paramount lot. That's all on one sound set.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything in the film is on one sound set. Now, how it took them 6 weeks to actually create it. At the time, it was the largest. I think it was up until 1982. It was the largest set that Paramount or Universal had ever had on their lot. Ever.
Yeah, because reminder, this is 1954. Right?
Yeah.
The set had not only its own running water and drainage system, also had everything was built so it had all the initial apartments had their own lighting systems built in. So they basically built tenements in 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So lighting plays a really key part in the film, as you can tell. The lighting on the set was actually set up so they could actually flip a switch to go from day to night and from dawn to dusk within 45 minutes where it would all do a scene transition where the lighting would fade in and out.
Also, basically a full 24 hours on.
Yeah. It was, at the time, it was one of the most impressive feats of film engineering
Now it's
that has ever been done on a
guy
on a
with a
soundstage.
dimmer
Yeah.
on the wall doing this, and everything kind of switches.
Yeah.
With it.
I think to myself when I hear stuff like this, because nowadays, whenever Hollywood does like these big extravagant sets, it's just like, oh, let's just put up a blue screen and then we'll just put up everything with
Yeah.
$250 million in post. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we kind of discussed this when we talked about Wag the Dog, where they set up a commercial, not a commercial, but this propaganda for the war. And they were like doing all sorts of stuff, and everything's like, nah, we'll do it in post. We'll do it in post. And that's like 1997.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So sound is also really important in this. So while Franz Waxman is noted as the composer for the score, he actually only created 3 bits of actual original bits for the film: the opening credits, the end credits, and the song Lisa that's played at the very end of the film.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else, all the sound is just done diegetically. So it's like it's self-contained within the actual plot of the film, and it's done so you can hear Bing Crosby at one point in time singing. It actually is echoing in up. So it's supposed to be like the set is being actually lived in.
Okay, so to get the feeling of it is
it's like he is sitting there. So that's why he didn't want to have Hitchcock didn't want to have a full score, because it would take away from how contained this whole experience is supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show you just how, like you said, this is a movie that came out like in the 1950s, and because they didn't have the technological advances to be lazy, they
is a little bit robotic.
That's good.
What you said?
You're good.
But no, I was just saying that, yeah, back when they didn't have the technological advantages to be lazy, it just shows you just like how creative they had to be in order to get exactly what they wanted, like on, essentially a screen, right? And like I said, that's something that's just really sorely missing in Hollywood now, because outside of guys like maybe like a Tom Cruise or someone who just does like these crazy, insane stunts that can't be replicated in like on a video camera or on the computer, stuff like that, we don't have too many of those guys with that mindset anymore. That's kind of sad that we don't.
Yeah.
Very true. The original film negative was so damaged due to the color fading from the actual just reel to reel that it was nearly lost to time. But they actually it was in the 80s when the estate was bought out, because this was one of the first films when Alfred Hitchcock's estate actually went up. The Universal finally bought out. That they actually had to go in and go literally screen by screen and color remaster it. That's why if you notice the film still has this odd hue.
Oh yeah, we'll experience that in a bit. Yeah.
Georgine Darcy, Miss Torso, was not only allowed to basically do her own choreography. Hitchcock just said, just do whatever you want.
Okay.
He's also really into blondes, which some of the shots make sense.
It helped that she's a blonde.
Yes. Not only that, she lived on the set during production.
In that apartment?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah. 50s were hardcore, man.
Yep. Yeah. While shooting, Hitchcock was actually in, if you notice that at the beginning, it is Jeff mentions the fact that I'm trapped in this 2-bedroom apartment, but we never see the other bedroom. Hitchcock was in there, and how he directed was he had all of the actors wear an actual flesh-colored earpiece, and he would radio them instructions. So he was in just the other room giving them instructions, directing them.
Ah, okay. So all the long shots are actually long shots?
Yeah.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So it was based on the short story It Had to Be Murder, which was a kind of a pulpy story by Cornell Wooditch. And it's actually is referenced at the very end of the film by Lisa.
Okay.
Real quick note. Only a $1 million budget.
And gross what? 11?
37 million at the time. This movie, boo.
Say it catapulted Hitchcock's movie career, because I don't know.
It helped because I think he did. It was I think
TV.
Rope was before this, and then
Yeah.
no, the TV series was during and after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick calculation on an inflation calculator says that would be the equivalent of $393 million today. So that's just give you
sounds about right.
clue.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So Raymond Burr was hired to play Thornwald, the killer, in there because he looked similar to Hitchcock's old producer. We're gonna talk about Hitchcock. Yeah, he's a real piece of shit.
Hitchcock being an asshole all the time, every single week. This is the third week.
Yeah, because
Just
Hitchcock.
a little bit of it.
Yeah, and Hitchcock thought he interfered too much with his other works, so he wanted to make the killer look like him.
Sounds like everyday Hollywood today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Grace Kelly actually turned down the role, the lead role in On the Waterfront, to be in this film because she identified more with Lisa.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the film got 4 Oscar nominations. Didn't win one.
Which ones? Best Picture?
Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress.
For The Nurse.
Yes. And best is it like it's like sound or stage design? It's like it should have won for that alone.
Yeah, I should have won for that alone.
Yeah. You know. So Hitchcock was a little bit obsessed with Grace Kelly. You know, his thing with blondes and also him kind of being a piece of shit when it comes to his ex.
You could tell within the first like 3 minutes of this movie that he was pretty much obsessed with blondes.
Yeah. So he had Edith Head, who worked on all the other films, did all of the costume designing on the other films we discussed. He's worked with Edith Head pretty much his entire film career. Tried to convince her that essentially Hitchcock wanted Grace Kelly to basically have bigger tits. So he wanted her during the scene where she was wearing the negligee to wear falsies.
Okay.
To basically pad her bra.
Yeah.
So what happened was Edith took that to Grace. Grace went, "No, I'm absolutely not going to do that." And he's like, "I know it's stupid. It's a terrible request. But if you actually just arch your back a little bit more and lean to the right, if you notice, that's why she's standing so awkwardly there, because it gives her the appearance of having a slightly larger bust, so she wouldn't have to do it."
She has that weird pinup pose during a moment where it's not supposed. You're not supposed to have a pose. You're literally just standing there talking to a guy in a wheelchair. Yeah. Get it.
Well,
I know exactly the moment. I'm not sure I'll be able to get that moment, but yes.
Yeah. What's so funny, there, deviations that Hitchcock always has to make, especially, we've discussed this before. The Birds was by far the biggest one, because the Birds, the original one, a bit of a downer, to say the least.
Think?
Yeah. So the original story had no love interest in it. It had no real story. They were added after, because Hitchcock had spent time with Grace Kelly and he wanted to see her in more of a romantic role.
Okay.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's like, no, really.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that even back in the 50s, they were doing self inserts. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah,
No,
100%.
He didn't first of all, he did self insert in movies, like him in the background walking. That's a Hitchcock thing.
Oh, and he's in this film too.
I didn't recognize him. I know he had like a little like I'm walking role or whatever. However, the love interest is always his actual love interest. So he's casting these tons of girls. He's
Mhm.
looking for only blondes, and the one he, takes his fancy gets in the movie, and she's being berated, harassed, downright. If you don't suck this D,
It's
you know,
nowhere near as bad as Tippi Hedren. Tippi Hedren had it the very, very worst.
yeah, because this is 40. This is 54.
Yeah.
The craziness usually goes in increments upwards. Every single girl that changes, it goes higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. So Robert Brooks actually created a system utilizing a telephoto lens on a dolly and then a crane to get all of the panning up and down shots.
Yeah, and it's probably the first time ever that it's been done.
Yes. First time it was actually ever utilized. Now, what's interesting is,
Also,
speaking of
for Hitchcock, it's weird.
Yeah, he has a lot of firsts,
Yeah.
especially because his cinematographers are always just the best, the best of the best of the best. So remember, when Jeff picks up his giant camera and he just puts it on his knee to try to look through because the binoculars are no longer working for him.
Oh yeah.
If you notice, there's a piece of black electrical tape on the side of it, blocking out that it was a Canon camera.
I didn't notice it, no, but
Yeah.
we'll try and get a shot of it. We'll try. And
it's the blurring of the Coke can in modern day television.
I mean, to me, my mom used to do photography, and she had a Canon camera just like that one. And it was pretty obvious it was Canon, I guess, to me.
Yeah.
But
what's also interesting too is the lens that he had, that would have been impossible to utilize at the angle that he was at. You'd need a tripod to actually use that camera with that magnification on that lens.
Yeah,
there's no way you could hold it up and try to look through it the way he was holding it.
To be absolutely fair, that kind of magnification would have put him inside people's apartments.
Yes, very much so.
Literally.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So just two last notes real quick, and then we'll get to it. Hitchcock, he's mentioned the fact that he felt sympathy for some of his villains before. But he said that he felt the most sympathy for Thorwald because overall, if you think about it, the one doing a lot of really bad stuff overall is kind of Jeff.
Yeah. He is.
Because he is a peeping Tom, and he gets almost caught on it a couple of times. But he is noted as saying, you notice that when Thorwald asks Jeff, he goes, "Okay, why are you doing this? What did you want?" And Jeff has no answer to him.
Yeah.
At all. Hitchcock made Jimmy Stewart pause on that line because he wanted to emphasize the point of that Thorwald, even though what he was doing is terrible, obviously, and he's just being just the worst voyeur. But Jeff is being the worst voyeur, and even though what he was doing Thorwald was doing is obviously just murder, but overall he was minding his own business. He had nothing to do with anyone else, and he wanted Jeff to feel like he wanted to portray that Jeff was having his own kind of crisis, or like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
When he asked that. But he is noted as saying that during that moment, you think, Jeff is really kind of a bastard.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to my first opening thing that I wanted to say, which
and there's one last thing.
Go ahead,
it actually is inspired by the original story, and then this was actually really more heavily inspired by the actual real life cases of the Patrick Mahone and Mrs. Mahone murders and the Dr. Howley Harvard Crippen. How, especially at the end with the jewelry, that's how Crippen ended up getting caught.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
I also had one more little note.
You mean the star quarterback Patrick Mahomes?
No.
No.
You mean Super Bowl? Sorry, I'm sorry. 2-time winning Super Bowl quarterback.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
But I did want to note just
an opening. No, go ahead, Jacob. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna make a quick little note that we were talking earlier about how this movie didn't win Best Picture for all the awards it was categorized in because, well, that year they happened to get swept by a little movie called On the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, so that's probably
Yeah,
why they
and
didn't.
the movie that Grace Kelly was going to be in, but she chose this film instead.
What I wanted to
Oops.
say is just as
Oops.
an opening kind of intro to the movie is literally this movie kind of symbolizes take the murder part out of it. It symbolizes the sort of the American thirst or the Western thirst for voyeurism. You
Mhm.
can definitely take this movie and put it today, and rather than a man looking outside his window and into other people's homes, which you still can do in certain places. However, you can do this into like uh, um, a person watching a stream. Something happens along the side.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
give them a little bit of inkling what to do. So either YouTube stream or Twitch stream, or whatever stream,
Well, and
or even
also
a
they
Facebook thing. When
well also
stuff
they
happens
just did
before,
a modern interpretation of this. Netflix just did,
which what
starring
movie
Amy Adams. Is it Woman in the Window?
is
Where
it?
she's
Oh
an
wow.
she's an agoraphobic. Yeah, but it's the exact same plot, but it's done in kind of like a suburbia instead.
Okay, and
Yeah.
she's watching different streams or what?
No, she thinks she views a murder, and everyone thinks she's crazy because, well, she's an agoraphobic and also an alcoholic. So
Yeah. It
yeah,
okay. I'll check that movie out. I'll check it out.
it's not very good.
It it seemed to me, although the movie is from 54 and it is kind of slow going because you can speed a lot of stuff up real fast. It seems very modern, like very, very modern. First of all,
Yeah.
it's 54 and you got
Pausing on Miss
a
Torso, I knew you were going to
backle,
pause on this
a
shot.
backle shot of a she is naked until she wears that bra and then she turns around and continues dancing. But the sort of the establishing shot of him there looking, and it starts with like the piano player, then goes to the couple, and then it kind of establishes, okay, it's hot, that's why the people are outside sleeping outside, or everything is open
Oh, there's a
because
funny
it's
story
so
about them
fucking hot.
too.
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
thinking to myself watching that opening scene real quick. It's like, who has windows that big? Like, just
It's like
it's like you.
I'm used to it. We've got like huge windows and we're an
Mhm.
apartment building.
well, just before that too, you notice that he gets that call from his editor.
Yeah.
That the audio was utilized from the scene, but before they actually had it so um, basically they actually met in the editor's office, but Hitchcock didn't want to actually use anything that was off of the set, so they ended up cutting everything from that except for the editor's dialogue.
Okay. So
Wow.
they had a full on.
Yeah, it was fully shot off set,
Oh, okay.
but he wanted to make sure that Jeff never left the apartment to re-emphasize just basically like how he
How
could make this up in his
isolated he
own
is.
mind because he's just is so starved for any kind of entertainment at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's
Uh,
all kind of like the central concept of like the film. It's like it started off just about a guy who's basically stuck in his own home, going mad, trying to find something to keep
Mhm.
himself entertained, and then a series of events. Just put it that
it's
way.
sorry,
Yeah.
especially when he's literally in a cast. It's not like he's walking around the apartment. He's literally moving from the chair to the bed, and sometimes not even at all. They suggest that most of the time he's just sleeping in his chair, and it's really, really, really bad for him. And
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
that moment at the start where after he kind of looks at everything and he talks to his editor, he's like, he's itching as what you would expect of a man in the late stages of a massive cast. And it
Yep.
it also kind of gives you a little bit of information about who he is. He's an adventurer. He and later on when he talks to Grace Kelly's character, Lisa, right?
Lisa.
Lisa. Uh, it it establishes him further as I don't want to get tied down. I'm a free spirit. I go if I want, I'll hop on a plane and suddenly I'm in Afghanistan of all places, right?
Well, to be fair as well, he also goes on a rant about marriage from the get-go to his editor.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's literally every kind of person in his life that has any kind of attachment to him is literally, why don't you settle down? You've got a great woman with you, right? You got a great girl. She loves you. Just settle down. And his excuses is literally, yeah, but I don't want to be tied down because I'm always looking for that rush, that excitement. Oh, shit. I need a new cable.
Yep. That you do.
We've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a new system, so I need a new cable for it. Never mind. The first interaction with the nurse.
Yes.
The actress name is
Stella.
Thelma.
Thelma Ritter, who plays who plays Stella. Yeah,
And
she is
the most grounded kind of character there, right?
well, and she's also from the get-go, she mocks his voyeurism and even sets up the entire plot of the film, saying that all of this is going to end up getting you in trouble. Like,
Yeah.
and she's mentioning how everyone lives, like she even mentions the fact how people live their lives vicariously by watching others, where it's like, how apt for today.
Yes, that's the first thing that was like, oh yeah, this is really 2023, really of these days. Like everybody's looking at everybody else. Even this show, right? Everybody's looking at everybody else and just doing their own thing. And we're kind of looking at a glimpse of their lives a little bit.
And also Stella kills it with some lines that she has.
Yeah.
In the film, one thing where she mentions the fact that, oh yeah, that's normal. A perfectly good woman, like who everyone finds gorgeous, wants to marry you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to toss her aside. Okay.
The horrors.
Yes. And he mentions too, he's like, oh yeah. And don't worry, the people have been on the other side of the situation too. A father loading up a shotgun. They sometimes end in happy marriages as well.
Yes. And that was like, oh, this is going apropos completely. And to me, this is like, what you're going to tell us the entire plot right here, right now? However, she really doesn't, because the next time she comes to visit, it becomes the opposite, where
it gets flipped on its head.
Jeff is being the more sarcastic one, and she's they're like, oh, this is unreal. This is not true.
But what's interesting is, just as an aside, is that Jeff comments to her that if he were to ever get married, he doesn't want someone who thinks that life is just a new dress, a lobster dinner, and then the latest scandal. And what happens when Lisa shows up? She shows up in a new dress. She brings lobster thermidor, and she starts talking about new scandals.
Exactly. And he wants nothing to do with it. However, it's a little bit later on in the movie. It's about halfway through in the movie. This literally at the first 20-30 minutes just introduces us to like the characters. It's like, oh, we're talking about Lisa. Here is Lisa, and you get to, through her, you get to know a little bit more about Jeff and what he's doing and what he's been up to and why is he in a cast and all that.
Yeah.
Through her, through their conversation, a little bit about her life. She's a socialite. She's she's into fashion. She lives the high life. She's not wanting for money because she's pretty successful in the fashion business.
And then she even mentions the fact, like, oh, this is an $1,100 dress, which is like, now I think it's like $13,000 dress that she just goes to his apartment in. That's as you are wont to do.
Yeah, and she flaunts it as well.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna stop here and we're gonna do our first segment of the night. You know it, you love it. It is Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters, have their text written off, we display them, and Jacob will have to guess which movie this is. Of course, our chat, our lovely chat, will help him through this, and
Because I
we
will need it.
start now. Here we go.
Oh, the Tom Hanks in It's a Beautiful World, right? The Mr. Rogers movie.
Beautiful. It's kind of the line within the series. It's about Mr. Rogers.
Well, It's a Beautiful Day, yeah.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Correct.
Ooh, isn't this Evil Dead?
Not Evil Dead.
Ooh.
Comes after Evil Dead.
Evil Dead 2?
And after Evil Dead 2.
It's where it goes off the hook. Where it goes like Sam Raimi at his like peak Sam Raimi.
So Evil Dead 3.
No.
In a way. Well, actually, it was supposed to be originally called Evil Dead 3, so he's not wrong.
3. It is, of course,
It's
Paul.
Army of Darkness, yeah.
It is Army of Darkness. Correct.
I was close. I don't recall this one.
It's a Brazilian film.
Oh, yeah. Good luck. I'll never
I-
get this one.
Well-known Brazilian film. I think it was. It won the foreign film Oscar, I think, for that year. I don't remember which year it was.
Nah, that's completely out of my
Feelings,
wheelhouse.
you're stomped. Biffer
But-
with the save.
City of Gods.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh man, this one is right on the tip of my tongue. Ooh.
This movie is known for a very famous line of "I am mad as hell and I just can't take it anymore."
Oh my god, I'm bombing here.
It's Faye Dunaway.
It's a really good movie.
It's Robert Duvall. Don't remember the name of the other two gentlemen. Chat. You know that? Let's.
Yeah, I think I'm blanking on that one. Anyone got a lifeline for me? I might need it here.
No, chat's got you, man. No. Feelings? It
Network.
is Network.
There's Biffer. There it is. The
Biffer,
delay.
Yeah, I know, but for a little bit of a delay. That's
yes.
Network. Which one is this?
The 90s cool. Yes, that is Vin Diesel.
That is
because I was thinking like it looks like the Chronicles of Riddick, but is that the scene?
It's the start of the Chronicles of Riddick, actually. Yeah.
Oh, is it Pitch Black? Is that the
Pitch
movie?
Black is correct.
A fitting end to a series.
Yes.
People say bring this back all the time.
Yes. Don't.
Joss Whedon.
Done.
Oh, Firefly.
Firefly.
It is Firefly, but
movie is called.
Oh, I don't even remember the show. I don't even recall the movie.
Everybody remembers the show. This is like a long episode of the show and a very good one.
Yeah.
Chat.
It's the name of their ship. They got it. That's Serenity.
Oh,
Serenity. Paul's got it, and Biffer's got it. Well, thank you, and yes, oh, my feelings. You know this.
I'm thinking
Mel Brooks movie, and shut up, all my feelings. You're gonna ruin it.
No, whenever I think of it now, all I can think of is Star Raiders.
Really?
Bric-a-brac. And a woman.
Okay. Jacob, I have you stomped again.
Because when you said that, my immediate thought was Spaceballs. Was like, is that really it though? I
That's
don't
it.
know.
Spaceballs is correct.
All right.
Wow, the movie that made Sean Connery quit acting.
Yes.
um, I remember this movie vaguely. I can't remember the exact title of it though. Was this League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
It
Yep.
is correct. Oh, it's a little bit of a smaller poster, but
Mm-hmm. I know because the Disney did a reboot of this one, Willow, but I don't remember the
correct.
original name.
The original name is the same title,
Yeah.
basically.
Oh, so it's
So
Willow.
it's Willow, correct. Vin Diesel back at it again. That
I
is
mean,
infamous Asia Argento.
so is this the first Triple X movie?
It is the first Triple X movie. Correct. Way to go, man. Way to go. Not
right.
too bad. Not too bad.
To be fair, City of Gods and Network, those are two ones that are kind of out there, especially City of Gods.
Yeah.
City of Gods is one of the
Yeah,
only movies I know.
Yeah.
I think.
All I heard was Brazilian movie. I was like, my brain just immediately turned off.
It's
like,
so
yeah,
weird
I'm out.
because I don't remember the name of the other one that I know I've seen, but they're both kind of dealing with the same thing, which is the Rio de Janeiro favelas, the like the
Yeah.
poverty, you know.
It was good to
All
see it
right.
after all these years that Brazil's improved immensely, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sao Paulo is a paradise now.
Yeah. Rio's very safe. Just don't go anywhere past, the signs that say don't go over here or get robbed.
Yeah. So we mentioned Lisa coming in with basically dinner that she puts out as well.
Well, she
That
has
does
it.
put out.
She does have it. She actually has it ordered in from. She has it brought in from the 21 Club, which at the time was one of the most exclusive restaurants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have. She's trying to convince him to marry her. However, she does it in a very kind of nonchalant way at the start, and then she puts on like the juice, and he just goes off, and is like,
Yeah.
dude, this woman brought food. She doesn't want anything from you. Just marry this woman. She's being feminine. She's being maternal. She's every guy's kind of dream. However, he just wants his freedom. It basically boils down to, I want my freedom. I can't live. I don't want to be living in a stuffy world where there's rules and there's regulations. I want to be free.
That
That's
son of a bitch.
Yeah. And what's odd is too, if
selfish, right?
while this is going on, they have it juxtaposed with the people that are across the way, where we have Miss Lonely Hearts having that dinner by herself. That is just profoundly sad.
I thought it was like, this is the absolute. This is a woman that hit the wall hard, and she can't accept it.
Yes,
And
then we have. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, like, usually, like, the cat lady meme was something that women would hit when they were in like their 50s and 60s, and now we're seeing the cat lady meme become much younger, which is also kind of sad too.
Yeah,
which is it. You can for us in 2023, we can relate to this from a whole different kind of view. But yeah, this is your typical lady that was a they used to call her a spinster, right?
spinster.
Back in the day. So a woman that were in her mid like 50s or like mid 40s and just unmarried, can't do anything, and she's just so lonely. She's actually having a pretend dinner with herself. But there's a moment there that she's like almost thinking about committing suicide. It's later on, but
Oh yeah, at the end, no, she is about to kill herself because
yeah,
she even wrote a suicide note
yeah. But
and
there's
put
a
it next
moment
to
there.
all the pills.
But there's a moment there at that fake dinner that she breaks down and was like,
Oh yeah,
"Yo,
she starts
she's gonna
bawling. Yeah,
about to slit her throat or
yeah.
like
It's,
wrists, something."
and then we have the pan up shot to Miss Torso with the gentleman callers, and basically Lisa's line is like, "A woman's hardest job juggling wolves."
Yeah, and it seems like she was in that position as well, right?
Yeah,
Because from just looking at the dynamics of what's going on in that room, she knows exactly who's the alpha, who are the betas, and who's in actual control, which is the dancer.
yeah, it's Miss Torso. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we have Thorwald pan over to the Thorwald resident, where we have the wife dismissing him after he brought her dinner and everything. And if you notice too, there was a shot beforehand where she's laying in bed looking perfectly fine, but when he starts to go, so she puts the towel over her head and starts faking like she's ill. So it looks like she's just been faking it the whole time. She's not an invalid whatsoever.
Yeah, and they kind of mentioned she's an invalid, but I
Don't
couldn't
see it.
tell. I
Yeah,
could There was no crutches. She wasn't wobbling. She got up from bed at a certain point, and she was standing
she
without
seems
any
perfectly
help.
fine.
It's
Yeah,
like she's
Yeah.
fine. And we get to see him earlier on kind of tending to the flowers, which is like, oh, this is my relaxed time dealing with flowers, right?
yeah.
Like,
Oh, and the poor dog.
poor Tom.
She was probably a fed anyway.
Yeah. So we have the pan up from their
Well
place
deserved.
to the musician, and the musician, he's playing. That musician is Ross Bagdasarian, who invented Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh,
Really?
really?
Yeah, and the guy behind him winding the clock, that's Alfred Hitchcock.
I didn't notice that, but okay.
Yeah,
Right,
I didn't notice that.
All right.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest. I've never really cared for Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like, I was one of those shows where even as a kid, I never cared for it. If you're not into something as a kid, that's usually an indication it's not very good. But maybe I'm alone on that island. So
no, that's fine. That's fair.
I liked it. Sorry. I
mean,
liked that.
I mean, it's better than Gumby, but I mean,
I didn't like Gumby, but I did like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Dude, it was like Alvin and the Chipmunks, then Garfield, then something else that we had for when I was like 7 or 8. So
yeah. And for
it is
me,
what it
Alvin
is.
and the
You get what you
Chipmunks was
get.
the show. It was the show that came on, and it's like even as kids, like, okay, I guess it's time to go to bed now because all the good shows are done.
I mean, it came really after Autobots for me, like Transformers.
Yeah.
So they aired Transformers earlier, and then they aired that later. So I don't know. It is what it is.
I mean,
So
like you think they would reverse that to like, just like you want to stay up late to watch Transformers, so watch this garbage first,
Yeah. Watch
guess.
the crap first, and then you can stay for the good stuff. So
Yeah.
So we have sort of the first day where basically nothing really happens, and Jeff doesn't really notice too much. There's not a lot of trouble that he kind of sees. However, something does
It's at
happen.
night. So like this
It's
is
night.
when Lisa leaves, basically like you think that they just ended things. Because he even asks her, like, can we just keep the status quo? And she says, no, I don't want that. And essentially he asks her, when can I see you again? Well, we'll see. Not for a while. And then she even takes a step back from that and goes, well, not at least until tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And
And that kind of tells me, yeah, she's not going to break things up. She's not
no,
going to take the initiative. She's going to wait for him to do something, whatever it is, right? And
I mean,
That's
he doesn't
look
seem,
at her. She is wealthy to boot. Come
I
on,
mean,
girl. Get your life. Come on.
yeah,
If he doesn't want you, there's plenty other guys down the road that do.
I think she has that attraction to, it's not really a bad boy, but a risk taker.
Yeah.
And that, to her, from her point of view, where it's a stuffy world, she's like, I want a little bit of danger in my life. I don't really want to do the danger, but I will live vicariously through a guy who's a thrill seeker, right? A
That's
thrill
fair.
seeker that is being manhandled by a tiny, tiny little woman.
Yes.
I don't remember if he saw something at night and then he tells her in
Yes.
the morning, right? He
So it's
saw
everything
something?
happens during that night scene
What?
where it's raining.
Yeah.
So what's important is, you remember how when it starts raining, the couple on the ledge get up
Yeah,
and they
start
grab the
like
mattress,
falling
but
to the side.
they start moving, but they can't get it done right.
Yeah.
That's because Alfred Hitchcock, being the prick that he is, was radioing each of them to move in an opposite direction.
That's funny.
that's certainly a dick move.
No, we've been gone through this in like
Mhm.
both in the other two movies that we did, The Birds and
Vertigo.
now I've lost it. What's the name of the other
Vertigo.
one? Vertigo. See, I'm drawing a blank here. But in both films, he kept telling people to do something that kind of kept them on like this sort of conflict, and that's just for his total gratification,
Yeah.
completely. Or he wanted to get back at the lady actress because,
Yeah, he did some terrible, terrible stuff to Tippi Hedren. Yeah. And that didn't stop there either. It gets worse later on in her career.
yeah, and
But so,
the thing is, he does mention it to the nurse. However, she kind of dismisses it outright.
yeah, because Thorwald's actually taking all the suitcases out
Yes,
during the night.
yes, he
And
went like
it's like,
3
this seems a
times.
little bit odd.
And the
And
thing that he mentions was, how come a man takes off at 1 a.m., then comes back at 3 a.m., then goes back out at 5 a.m.? Who does
yeah.
that?
And
And
Crazy people.
yeah.
yeah,
Not 1954.
yeah,
But the thing is, what's interesting too is, as soon as he mentions the fact that it's like, oh, well, they might be splitting up, that's when Stella's ears perk up, because she is one of the characters that I think is the most, I think, devout advocate for monogamy in throughout this entire film. That she's like, well, what do you mean? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you get divorced? And so to her, that's bringing her into it, going like, well, maybe something's a little bit off.
yeah. The thing is, with Jeff, throughout the movie, he keeps trying to convince people to to see his sense of things. However, the cop, the lieutenant, doesn't really, he doesn't really go along, and he always finds these little tiny bits of evidence where it seems like, oh, it's everything's fine, we've checked it. However, the Lisa and the nurse kind of like slowly but surely kind of follow his train of thought, and eventually they're full blown into his voyeurism. They're
Mhm.
sitting in the
Yeah.
dark with him, they're looking out with him, they're trying to make sense. Oh, they did this, he did that, it's probably this. They come up with different theories, and it seems like he's sweeping them away with his craziness, because every time we kind of think, oh, it is
Thorwald.
Thornworld. It is Thornworld. It's like the cop is coming in, but Anna just wrote him a postcard. Who writes a postcard when they're dead? Like there's always an explanation. It comes up a little bit later.
Yeah, there's a lot of different sets of circumstances, and also that's also tied together to previously when he's viewing Thorwald and Miss Thorwald's still alive. Then he ends up taking a call outside in the other room, and she ends up coming out and laughing at him. I think that was the impetus for him to finally snap and kill her, because he actually was having an affair the whole time.
Yeah, because there's a moment there where Jeff, I think it's on the second night where he was trying to see what was going on because the blinds were going down.
Yeah.
In the morning, the blinds were going down. However, in that subsequent night, we actually see a Thornwall and a woman dressed in black kind of leave the apartment at around 6 a.m. where Jeff literally was looking all throughout the night, but he fell asleep as the lady kind of went out. And it explained later because the lieutenant came in and kind of checked with everybody, and they confirmed there was a lady coming out of that apartment with her husband, and they were going on a train.
Yeah, the superintendent mentions that.
Yeah.
But what's
I
also
wanted to just address, I can see the black masking tape over the cannon.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, go
But
ahead.
also in that in that Stella has another great line during that where she just tosses the most amount of shade at Miss Torso, because how she's like, oh, she just eats and drinks whatever she wants. That's Jeff says, and Stella just goes, yeah, she's gonna wind up fat and alcoholic and miserable. It's like, damn.
Yeah, that
No
was
subtlety there.
Yeah,
that
it's
was
like, Jesus.
too on the nose. Too
Yeah.
on the nose.
And then we get the shot where the dog is already starting to dig in the flower bed too, where
I'm trying to
we
get
did
that.
see the dog at one point in time before get lowered down on the basket, just go out and just walk around and then get back in the basket and come back up. This time he stops the flower bed and starts digging there.
Yeah. I'm trying to get that shot, but it won't happen. Never mind. And in the evening, we got another visit from Lisa, and he kind of tells her, I think there's something up there. I'm not sure what's going on. But
Well, and he also sees Thorwald through the through his camera and the giant
yeah,
giant magnum lens on there, start wrapping up all of the tools that, like the saw and everything, into different bits and other cases and hiding them and putting them in different storage containers to put them away somewhere else.
yeah, and he gets out and brings up a rope at some point to tie up
Around the steamer
crate,
trunk, yeah.
and it's like, this seems suspicious if you're suspicious of it. However, I was like, yeah, I've seen this, but I don't remember. Did he actually do it or not? And that kind of gave me a whole new perspective. Do I believe Jeff or do I believe my eyes? Because I've seen him go out with a woman. However, I didn't see her face. So did it really happen or what is going on? Because I completely forgot if the murder is actually real or not. Because I've seen this. I showed you this last week. I think I've seen all 4 movies back in high school, and I never touched them again. And I'm
Yeah,
glad.
well, I was going to say that there was always that element of, like I said, a guy being locked up to his own devices, and he starts seeing things. You have to start wondering, was he really seeing what he's actually seeing, or because you're only getting it from kind of like his like far away perspective. So there could be things going on behind the scenes that he's not seeing. So it kind of takes you on this ride. Is like, is this really happening, or is this all in his head? Or are we just going through like a big giant trick of paranoia, essentially? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's what Hitchcock was aiming for, to not only, it's not just a mystery, it's sort of a deception on your senses as a moviegoer, a movie watcher. It's like watching the story on the screen. And it's like, is it in his head or
Mhm.
am I watching the thing? Because again, this is 54, and I don't know how much people expected these kind of things. We don't have a
Yeah.
lot of history with these kind of stories at that time. Now, today, yes, it's leaning on this particular story.
Mhm.
And like the short story, I'm guessing the original short story was not like a broad publication,
No,
bestseller
it
of
was a
the
pulp
time,
story.
whatever,
Yeah.
but just a pulp story that you could have thrown away. And people are coming in and watching this movie, and it's like, is it really? Is it not? And every step of the way, you're going further into, yeah, but this could happen. But the cop literally just did there's a Columbo moment in there as well. Did you notice that? Where he's like, he's talking, and he's trying to appease Jeff. And right at the end where he's like, I give up. And he goes to the door. He turns around and, oh, by the way, I
Oh, that's
also
the
met.
postcard bit. Yeah, that's later. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's later on. But it's like he turns around. He's like, oh, by the way, this and this and that. And we know that she landed at that whatever hospital, wherever she was going.
Yeah, that's another thing that's tough to call too, because yeah, you just reminded me that we are watching a film years after their fact, but you have to kind of like put it into the perspective of this is a movie that was released for audiences in the mid '50s. So obviously, this is like a completely different time period for the audiences. So it's like the things that I guess you not say the camera tricks, but I guess kind of like the storyline twists and turns that happened throughout this movie. You have to kind of keep it in frame of how audiences back then really reacted to it, which made it as widely successful as it did. And clearly, it was done well enough that it still holds up. What 7, 8 decades after the fact? So
Hmm.
Yeah, I was actually, when I rewatched this, I watched it twice this week. To I just enjoyed the watch, even though again it's very slow, it's very methodical, and the the time lapses and the time passing throughout the movie kind of keeps you every second keeps you on your toes. It's not like, ooh, I cannot wait to see what's going on. No, it's a little bit more, relaxed compared to other Hitchcock films, especially the ones we covered. But it is putting you at a suspense where you think but every step of the way you're like, oh wait, this also happened, and it kind of fits with the other thing. However, we didn't see any murder. And
mhm.
after basically the third night, the nurse is already hook, line, and sinker because she's
Yeah, because this is
actually
after
joining
he
him.
got Lisa into it, telling
Yep.
her about the steamer trunk and what's going on with that, and that sparks Lisa's curiosity, as in, well, maybe he's on to something. And that's the first bit where she starts helping him in the investigation and starts bringing in Doyle after that. And then we have Stella's conversation here about
Yeah,
that,
he was
and
on the
her
phone
theory
with
about what
the
happened.
lieutenant. Yeah.
Yeah. And she
And think about it like I'm just gonna say, think about it like this: how much creepier would this film had been had there not been like characters interacting with like our protagonist throughout like the course of this movie? Because like for the sake of argument, let's say that they just kept the film's perspective where he's just in the room by himself and doesn't
self.
interact with anyone. Yeah, essentially,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
in so many ways it'd be like almost a take on like a twisted version of The Machinist.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
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 But because Jeff, he's a well-known photographer, and he
Yeah.
has friends, and he has not only friends, he has friends that can actually do something, like the lieutenant who actually pays a visit. And this is his first visit after the nurse leaves, where he's like, understand this is highly irregular. We don't have a murder. We don't have any evidence that anything happened.
Yeah, and what's so interesting too is
Hey,
the fact
Cassie, how you
that
doing? I've seen you. I've seen her in chat. Yeah, we said Thelma Ritter.
Thelma, yeah, she
She's
was
awesome.
nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and like she ended up winning an Oscar later, but she steals every single scene that she's in this film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But what's funny is during Doyle's line of questions, like, "What do you think he did? Cut up her body and moved it in the different trunks?" It's like, yeah, because that's exactly what he did.
Or I'd be like, yeah, I do now.
Yeah, well, I wasn't thinking that, but
Yeah, exactly.
If you would have put her at a Greek tragedy, she was literally the chorus that knows what's going on in the plot, and they actually
Mhm.
tell us, but we don't know she's actually telling us the entire plot as it happens.
So just to going back, then after that we see the dog in the flower bed again, trying to dig up whatever's down there, because that's the whole the whole key setup is the dog originally ignored it, and then he's constantly going after it. It's like, maybe there's something there.
Yeah, but there's a moment there that he kind of shoos the dog, but
Yeah.
he doesn't. It doesn't seem like he's up to no good or is trying to hurt the dog or
No.
anyway. But I was like, that's I'm waiting for him to like shoo him away. He doesn't shoo him away. It's like, oh, good dog, and just walks off as if there's nothing there. And in the evening, we see him watching the lonely lady goes out and tries to get a date, and she actually
Yeah.
does get a date.
This is kind of uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, and it's like it goes back and forth because throughout the night he goes from Thornwood. I'm gonna fuck up that name.
It's
more than
Thorwald.
Thornwald goes from him like stalking him into stalking her, right? It goes back. He always
I
looks at
wouldn't say
her like
stalking. He's watching them. Stalking
he
is a little bit more malicious.
voyeuring them,
Yes.
okay?
I don't see what the problem is personally. I just
He is literally sitting in the dark, spying on Thornwall and looking after the sculptor lady and looking after the newlywed couple in the window that is constantly shut.
Oh, they fucking. That's just
Oh,
it. That's the whole bit.
yeah, I know.
Yep.
And when Lisa comes again, they kind of watch the lonely lady comes back with a gentleman, a very young gentleman, obviously younger than the lady, and she gets almost graped, let's say.
By a rapist.
Yes.
He's like, hey baby, and she actually pushes him away and he leaves, which it could have been way worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys
Yeah.
are being too harsh. It's the 1950s. It was fine. It was fine.
Things like that just didn't happen in the 50s.
Yeah.
When Lisa comes, she actually comes with a little suitcase, and Jeff is actually admiring how little did she pack in that small little. Just is like, this is a suitcase. It's like, yeah, it's all my essentials. It's literally it. As soon as he opened it and he said that line, I was like, this is a George Carlin bit.
Yeah.
Literally has a bit about going when you go from area to area in your vacation, you literally pack up smaller and smaller bits of your stuff. I
Well,
was like, yeah.
and also there's two meanings behind this. One, it's showing how much you could fit in a suitcase.
Yeah.
Body
Yep.
parts.
Yeah.
The other one is the manufacturer of that specific suitcase was friends
Louis
with
Vuitton.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Really?
That's the reason why that specific one is in there.
I have a good feeling that these type of suitcases will sell very well in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Really? That was him? How come?
They were just friends.
Oh, okay.
I like how the
I
very
thought-
simple answer. They were just
It-
friends.
They were just friends.
I mean, I thought there was like an extra meaning to it, but
No,
okay.
he would offer up prop stuff like that before, and then also like when we did Vertigo, the mention of the brazier bit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. The thing is, at this point, Lisa is like full in on spying on the guy. She totally buys into, yes, there was a murder. She comes up with, techniques, theories. Oh, why did he do it? She gives them that little information about the jewelry and the purse.
yes. The big thing that's the big thing that raised her alarm bells off. It's like, no, a woman wouldn't leave her favorite handbag, and also she wouldn't bunch up her jewelry in there because it'd get all knotted up. They wouldn't do that.
And when Doyle comes in, she even confronts him with those theories. Like she even says we believes that this and this and that, and you should check this because of
Oh
that.
God, and Doyle's remark is like, sorry, no offense to your woman's intuition, but if I had to tell you the number of times I've turned down a case due to a woman's intuition, it's like, damn. It's like,
Once again,
Doyle.
that subtlety's coming right back.
Yeah. And also,
Is it
Meth, if
under
you know,
date in the room or what the fuck?
yeah, 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 exactly. I thought your name was Doyle, not Tate. So, but I don't know if you noticed too, but Meth again, Brandy.
Yes, Brandy again. And the fact that Doyle is such a commoner, he literally went to drink it,
Just
as
sniffed her
if he
and
was drinking
spills
wine,
it on it.
and he spills it all over himself. It's like these yuppie. He didn't say yuppie. It was like these damn snifters and your customs. It's like
He's just borderline from saying Yankees or
Yeah.
something stupid. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just a big glass. You don't drink brandy like it's wine. It's brandy. It's hard liquor. It's not. Stupid. Never mind.
You just
And
down it
he
right down the
does say,
hatch
"I
like a
prefer my
psychopath.
Scotch." But yeah,
And then if you notice too,
bring him down to like commoner, or I don't understand that thing is just beyond me.
yeah, as they're having continuing their conversation, Grace Kelly actually gets to say, like, oh my God, she said the thing. I'm not much into rear window ethics.
In credits.
She said the thing.
Yeah, the thing is, as soon as the whole business with the lonely lady kind of finishes with the guy, she goes up into the other room and she gets dressed in this rather sharp, really expensive negligee, and they're sitting around and they're watching the party at the piano player's house,
Yeah.
where they kind of listen to not the full Lisa theme, but like sort of half of it, and it actually, the tune kind of reverberates in her head as she sings it later on, and she says, "Oh, what's that tune?" And he said, "Well, he hasn't finished it yet."
It's basically the evening gown that your grandma would wear back when your grandma was actually still young and attractive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my family didn't have that, but I get it.
It looked better on her than the 50s than it did in the 90s. Just put it that way.
Let's not go into that. Hey, my grandma, you're talking about? No, just
Exactly. Ever just like watching like these old movies and I just kind of like think to myself, "Oh, this person's dead." And it's like, "Oh, that person's definitely dead."
Well,
Yeah.
I
What's
think
what's
all of the people in this shot is dead. However,
yeah,
most of them actually made it to real old age. Like Jimmy Stewart was like what,
yeah.
90-ish
I think it was
when he was
the last
dying?
one was
Grace
Georgina
Kelly
Darcy.
died in Monaco
Yeah.
when
yeah,
like
yeah.
in the 60s.
Yeah. But Georgina Darcy, who plays Miss Torso, was the last one to die, and I think she died in 2016.
Damn, that's
So
a
like,
Wow.
but
long
she's
ass.
the last one. But yeah, it's like, oh wow, everybody's dead. So really, if you
Yeah.
think about it, none of this matters because they're all dead anyway.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
right.
but the thing is, in this shot, it's full blown voyeurism, and they're all in at this point, right?
And that's what's so funny too is they were all chastising him prior to this.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They came around. He shared his theories from the night before, where he was alone in the apartment, and they kind of got turned around to the point where Lisa was actually breaking and entering to
Later,
prove
yeah,
the
yeah.
point,
What's
right?
actually really funny too is that during that night scene where Lisa is sitting on Jeff's lap, she almost like expresses regret because of how Doyle turns him down, and just like she even mentions the fact that Miss Thorwald could still be alive is kind of a letdown for the two of them. They're like, oh, she's still alive. Now we don't have this thing that's keeping us kind of together.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. It's like I thought for a minute there that Lisa is into the store, so she's sort of placating him just to be around him, just to keep listening to the story and
Yeah.
just be around him, and maybe through being around, turn him to her side and make him want to be with her all the time. However, Jeff is not having
It's
it.
not that way. Yeah. And
So
also
I
what's
think I found your
important.
pose, by the way. I think it's this.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's like arching your back a little bit just to make sure. It doesn't help, by the way. But I found it.
It does look kind of it. Yeah. All I know is it fooled Hitchcock, so whatever. She got away with it. That's all that
And
matters.
like this, talking to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I'm saying. It's just a bit weird.
But the other thing that's important that night is the screaming, because this is the second time that Jeff randomly hears a scream outside, because he heard basically Miss Thorwald get murdered.
Yes.
Because he just heard the scream that night, and that's what alarmed him to check out what was going on at Thorwald's, and then he sees Thorwald leaving with the suitcases. Now he hears the scream this time, and the dog's dead.
Yeah. I'm going to show the dog. Not that
Yeah.
it matters, just a prop, but
Yeah.
the most important thing is the scream of the lady.
Yeah. And how she chastises everybody. Like, all of you are awful. None of you are our neighbors. Like, why would you do this? I know that you know you don't care for anyone or anything, but why would you kill my dog? He was the only one who was nice to everyone. Why would you kill him? And that ends up bringing everybody together at the end, combined with the Thorwald getting arrested.
Exactly. And this is the point where we do a little bit of a pause and we do our second segment of the night. It is Screen Fighter.
Round 1. Fight.
Screen Fighter for the uninitiated is we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other, two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Bablam, chat participation is most welcome. What will you pick? Reign of Fire or Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium? If you haven't watched that movie, say good luck to yourselves. I'd like congratulate yourselves because that is a terrible fucking movie.
Well, I will say this. I remember watching Rain of Fire back in like 2002. I think I actually went to the movie theater and saw that movie. That was the old one with Matthew McConaughey where he gets eaten by a giant dragon at one point in the film. And I
Yep.
actually did kind of enjoy the setup of the film. It's not a great movie, but it's one of those sentimental films to me. So I'm picking Rain of Fire with this one.
Yeah.
All right. That's the katakana.
It's all of it.
All of it.
That's
But-
hiragana, kanji, and katakana. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is by far the busiest poster I have ever fucking seen.
The other one is like German, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's German.
I'm gonna have to also go with Rain of Fire because Matthew McConaughey again gets eaten by a dragon, and Christian Bale's in it out of nowhere. It was just odd seeing Christian Bale in that after American Psycho because that's weird. But Rain of Fire is actually fun, and it sets up a post-apocalypse that like the apocalypse gets caused by fucking dragons. Like what? What is going on?
It's weird, it's wacky, it's stupid at times. It is Waterworld without the water. It is Rain of Fire. However, Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium is sticky. It's funny at times only because it's Dustin Hoffman, and he actually does a good job in this one. But all the story around it and Natalie Portman and the kid in this, I watched this twice with my wife, and I hate it so much.
Mm-mm.
Do yourself a favor, don't. On the basis of sex or The Incredibles, do we have to debate on this, or is it unanimous?
It seems like a very odd choice for these two.
It's
Yeah,
completely
no.
random.
Yeah, it looks that way because I don't think there's anything relating to these two movies at all. So I'll pick The Incredibles.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Incredibles for me.
I have to
Great
go with The
film.
Incredibles because that's a fun movie.
yeah.
Scary Movie 2
That-
or Superman?
It
You
seems
can
kind
cast
of-
your vote, by the way. Which one?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Superman on here.
Interesting. Oh, my feelings.
we discussed Superman before.
Okay.
You know,
so-
oddly enough, when you guys talk about Scary Movie 1, I believe it would be the next time I'll be on this show. So there's a
Yep.
little preview for that. So
Yep.
I-
It is Superman.
Yeah, even though it made Christopher Reeve utterly insufferable. Yeah.
Okay.
ooh,
Here we go. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, the first of the sequel, or Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. That's 3.
that's the second one.
That's the second one. Well, I
Yeah.
can't know. Right.
So yeah, that's the
choose
one that nobody liked. The second Revenge of the Fallen movie. So I mean,
However-
by default, I might actually just go with The Force Awakens because at least The Force Awakens didn't bore me to tears like the Revenge of the Fallen did.
Now, Revenge of the Fallen, was that the one when Sam Witwicky went to college and then they had him with a robot girlfriend?
That one, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, because I'm trying to think of this Transformer movies because they all just kind of blend together until they just got rid of Sam Witwicky as a character and brought in Mark Wahlberg's
it was
character.
Yeah, it was the second one, the last one with Megan Fox, and I do believe that was a plot point at some point. But
Yeah,
all I
because they were
remember, it
together
was
and
like-
not.
yeah, it was like 2.5 hours of just bloated, like directionless mess of a movie. So
I hate the Transformers in all its forms. I even don't like Bumblebee. I know people
Yeah.
love that movie compared to these. I cannot forgive Michael Bay And I will pick Star Wars The Force Awakens, even though it is the start of Disney Star Wars. It is.
All I have to
I
say is,
I
at
loved
least,
it when
yeah.
it came out. I watched it in the theater, enjoyed it very much. Did not agree with certain things that they were doing with it.
It gave you at least intrigue. It was like, okay, I want to see where they're going with this in the next film, and then we all figured out where they were going in the next film, and
Yeah,
it ruined
however,
everything.
Star Killer Base was a bit much for to me. The moment that broke me was, oh, look at these lines in the sky from across the fucking galaxy that you wouldn't even be able to see. That broke me. Star Wars.
Well, I was going to say on the note too. When it comes to, at least you could say then, for the rest of the films, would you say that The Force Awakens gave you A New Hope, Meth?
Is there any way to ban him from the show? Can we do that?
Wait, I have a sound for that.
Get out.
Is that clear?
Never should have given
Yeah,
control.
and people should like boo him in the chat too.
Boo
while you're at
this
it as
man! Boo him!
Yeah.
All right, Pretty Woman or Rock and Roll? I haven't seen Rock and Roll in a while.
God, rock and roll.
I actually just watched this like a few months ago, so it's fresh in my mind. And I
So
feel like if
what
you're a
movie-
guy, you're gonna pick the left movie, and if you're a woman, you're probably gonna pick the right movie. So I'm gonna pick the left movie. I'm picking Rock and Roll.
That's fair. I think Rock and Roll is actually one of Guy Ritchie's best films. It's fun. I think that movie is just fucking fun.
I don't like Rock and Roller as much as his first two movies.
What, Snatch and Lock, Stock?
Yes. And I even like what's that new one? I forgot it. Gentleman. I love Gentleman. I know.
Oh, that's the one with Matthew McConaughey and
Matthew
Charlie
McConaughey.
Hunnam?
I would even prefer Gentleman to Rock and Roller. I've seen Pretty Woman a lot. More than a guy should. I would take Rock and Roller. I would take Rock and Roller. It's just pure fucking fun.
And there's other Pretty Woman's a good film, but it's just
It's not a bad movie. If I could stomach it, Man on the Moon or Not Show. I'm not gonna even discuss this.
That's another one that we keep coming up with. Man on the Moon keeps coming up with other movies that are just like, no, it's always Man on the Moon.
It's so obvious. Yes. Right. Bridesmaids or Cheaper by the Dozen.
I actually haven't seen the Cheaper by the Dozen, the new one.
Oh,
I've seen both of these, but I gotta be honest with you. As time goes on, I've hated Bridesmaids more and more, so I might go Cheaper by the Dozen out of spite.
Okay. Hey, everything is allowed.
It's a hate vote.
Yeah, it's complete.
So
hate
you haven't
vote.
have all my feelings. You haven't watched Cheaper by the Dozen?
Mm-mm.
To me, Cheaper by the Dozen is a very, very similar movie to the Bridesmaids Dad or whatever it's called.
Oh, Father of the Bride?
Father of the Bride.
Wait, isn't Steve Martin in that too?
And I think it's Bonnie Hunt as well. I'm not sure. I haven't seen Father of the
jeez.
Bride in a long time. For me, it's Bridesmaids. Just because of the shit moment. Because anything and everything in Cheaper by the Dozen cannot stand into the awesomeness of fucking Melissa McCarthy shitting on a sink. It is glorious. And Maya Rudolph shitting in the street. It is what it is. So up to you on my feelings. What does the chat say?
I could only go with the film that I've seen. So,
Well,
I mean,
it's Bridesmaids. One last
unfortunately,
one. One last one. And we
Oh.
got the Hebrew version of Eastern Promises to Jurassic World. This is the Jurassic World is like the first
This is
First
the-
Chris
yeah.
Pratt movie. Yeah, so somehow after like the 3 previous movies, they decide, hey, you know what? We've screwed up with dinosaurs so much over the course of the last 30 years. Let's do it all over again and then create even more legal liability for ourselves because we still haven't learned our lesson.
So you're going with Eastern Promises?
Yeah, pretty much another spite vote.
Okay. Oh, my feelings?
Bryce Dallas Howard, you are so so absolutely gorgeous, and you're too good for that film, Eastern Promises. Also, Viggo Mortensen is awesome in that movie.
Eastern Promises all the way. Fucking Viggo Mortensen as a Russian mobster? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So we had one person. We had one person who voted out of spite, another person who voted based on Bryce Howard's butt, and then another person who actually enjoyed the movie. So
yeah,
there we go.
To me, it's literally there's no contest because I don't like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, Jurassic Dominion, anything Jurassic. I am not into dinosaurs whatsoever. I can appreciate the original Jurassic Park. It's a
The only good one.
Yeah, again, and that's where they should have stopped.
Done. And I would put a lot of movies that I would like to watch in front of Jurassic Park, but
you know what we're gonna get in a couple of years? We're gonna get Jurassic Park versus Tremors. We're gonna get Kevin Bacon to come back, and then we're gonna get Samuel L. Jackson to also be in the movie.
I think we already had that. Plus, I would go with Tremors, original Tremors. In front of Jurassic Park. That's me.
Original Tremors is a classic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know how much I love horror films, so like that's just.
I gotta say this though, in all honesty, too. I recently went back and watched Tremors 2. It's not that bad of a movie for a straight to DVD movie. It's really not. Anything after that goes completely off the rails. The second one isn't that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Critters.
A league of its own.
Yeah. Right. When we started getting to like Trevor 6 and 7, that's when it was like, okay, guys, like, really?
Okay. I think you can rein it in just a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at the Scream. It went all completely off the rails at this point. So they hatched sort of a plan.
I don't know if it's your mic or your connection's a little choppy there.
Me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The cable. Is it better now?
No, it's still kind of choppy.
I think it's you. Or
no, it's you.
It's me? All right. Wait.
Yeah, it's hard to tell if it's your connection or your mic, but it sounds like it was a little bit of a delay there.
Don't worry. There. Talk. I'll fix it.
Okay. Well, I continue from that point. So, how the neighbor chastises all of the entire neighborhood about the dog and how that kind of brings everybody together at the end, but that really kind of sets up the really brings Stella's intrigue of like why was the dog digging down there? Oh, there must be something down there. So that's when Lisa gets involved and they try to figure out, well, how can we get down there to figure out what's in that flower bed without Thorwald coming in and finding it, like getting us to stop, essentially.
Am I better now?
And when we have that, yeah,
you're good now.
Okay. Yeah,
so they end up writing that fake letter.
Yeah, they sent. I was going to get that shot of the fake letter. Please help and blah blah blah. We know that sort of thing. Just to get him out.
911.
Yeah. With this letter.
And also, Jimmy Stewart, you have the handwriting of a 5-year-old.
I mean, I gotta say this, like, I don't have the best handwriting in the world, but considering where we are in society in 2023, I at least appreciate handwriting that's neat enough that I can actually read it.
Yeah,
like, that's something that's like
that's fair.
Fairly missing.
It's sort of a ransom letter quality. right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it may look like a 5-year-old wrote it, but at least I can actually read it. That's a big step up.
When I first saw that, I thought, but like he started to write. I thought he was going to write the R backwards.
It's so bad it starts looking like Portuguese.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to a specific spot here, because they do see it. Kind of, it's simultaneously looking downstairs to the lonely lady
Lonely Hearts, yeah. Mhm.
on the way to commit suicide. So Jeff is on the phone to get the police to come and rescue her, along with Lisa just and the nurse kind of taking initiative, and they are literally going to sneak in, right?
Well, because they end up digging up there. Stella
Yeah,
looks up and is like, "There's nothing here. Like it's gone. It's
it's
gone."
gone. And then Lisa kind of decides to
And Lisa's
just
like,
go.
"Fuck it, I'm doing a B&E."
They just want to get to that handbag because they think there's evidence in that handbag. However,
Yeah.
she doesn't find anything except for the ring.
Yeah. Oh, we did miss one thing. The reason why they end up finally going there was not only the dog, but he looks at the pictures that he had taken and he notices that the flowers were different sizes.
Yeah, the flowers are at different heights.
Yeah. Yeah.
The place where the dog kind of sniffed the ground is where the flowers are a little bit lower,
Yeah.
which to him is immediate. Oh, okay. They can't take stuff out and put stuff back in and have it exactly the same height.
Mhm.
So he's on the phone calling the cops as these two are searching for the bodies. The nurse can't find it, so Lisa goes upstairs. I want to get that shot where the cops are in, and she kind of, there. She kind of signals him from her back to like, look what I found, right?
Guess with with Dora, she looks back and she has the ring actually on her finger because she found the wedding ring.
Exactly, which tells her that he murdered her. I didn't get it. Why is that so significant? But you can tell me.
Well, because this is actually a tie back to, remember how I said it's tied to two of the actual like real life murder cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Crippen was caught because he ended up having all the jewelry or trying to sell the jewelry that his wife had, and one of them was her wedding ring. And that raises suspicions for people to look into it. So it's the more you start digging in, where it's like, well, why wouldn't your wife have her wedding ring on her?
Okay.
Nowadays, I don't think that's that. Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Like, if they ended up falling out, you would think that maybe she might leave her wedding ring behind because they are on the outs.
I mean,
so that'd
I'm
be
married and I don't have a wedding ring on. It's in my wallet.
I mean, but you could see that as a believable thing for Thorwald. I'd be like, yeah, she left. She left it here. I mean, what do you want me to say?
It will be a hard one. Like I said, it'll be a hard one to prove in court because there could be a number of reasons why somebody would either have or not have it, right?
Yeah, but the thing is too is like, but it's more of just another thing to keep looking into, to keep digging and digging and digging, and eventually you're going to find something that you'd mess up on. So it's like, I can see where that's kind of the linchpin, where the domino, where it all just starts falling down. So, but we have that,
and of course, after they book Lisa, and the cops actually save the lonely lady, all that's left is Jeff in his
in the room because he tells Stella to go bail Lisa out, and they go. Do you remember what Stella's line is, Meph?
I don't remember every single line.
When the cops see Lisa, they'll contribute.
Yeah, but they didn't need to because Doyle kind of sprung her out. But that we know it later.
Yeah.
And the thing is, once he's alone, that's where he's
because he leaves a message for Doyle. And then
Yeah.
someone calls him. He picks up the phone and says, "Doyle, you have to get here. Thorwald's moving." Like, you idiot.
Yeah.
You idiot. You just
And
gave up the ghost.
And Thornwall is literally on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. And Jeff is kind of realizes for the first time, oh yeah, I can't go anywhere. He felt comfortable not going anywhere. Now when it's like I need to go, I can't.
Mhm.
Yeah, that shifts the whole tension of like the film, because now it's like, oh yeah, I've been trapped here like this whole time, I can't move, and all like the pity party stuff, and now it's like the one time he actually needs to go when he thinks that something might be going on, he can't, and it shifts the tension right back from what's going on across the street to what's happening in his own room. So,
And of course, because he's a photographer and he has flash bulbs, it literally when Thornwall kind of comes in, he's doing like an old version of a flashbang, basically, just without the sound. The thing is, it's an old flash, so you have to replace the bulbs because they just burn out. Because it's not a modern flash.
It's interesting how they shot this too, because they had to have essentially two different cameramen have the set shot and superimposed, because the thing is, the shot when it was done, it would actually have a risk of overexposing the film while they were filming because it was so bright.
Yeah.
So it was actually, they had to keep doing multiple takes, because it would basically, because they were doing the reel on 35 millimeter, it would actually start filming and then it would just go completely white and then burn.
Yeah.
So they had to have it covered over in boxes to have it done. That's why the back, this is also why it's so dark here, because it's supposed to be an ominous threat of Thorwald coming after him to really emphasize the point of the bulb doing its work. But they also had to have it so dark so it wouldn't overexpose and ruin the film.
Yeah. It's literally like movie. It's like not movie trickery or movie magic. It's literally cinematography to its absolute highest degree of knowing how to work with shutters and lights and lenses. All that, it's like super into physics of lighting.
And you can also tell too that even after the restoration, the shots after when it hits Thorwald, when that bulb actually goes off, how it leaves kind of an almost after image if you watch the film really closely.
It's really hard to get to that specific point, but yeah, I can't really catch the moment of the flash, but the moment after the flash, you can tell he's like, oh shit, it's a problem. And here you have another problem because you're trying to keep this part dark and the face lit and the other parts of his body completely dark, and trying to mess with bright light.
It's one of those cinematic shots that just looks like an absolute nightmare to get during the time period that we're talking about here. Right?
Yeah. It was complete nightmare because of how gentle, in terms of chemically gentle, the actual film was. And you can do this 70 million times and destroy a reel, like destroy it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at one point, and I want to get to the shot where he's there. So he tries to flashbang him. Basically, he succeeds to a point until they're just too close and there's contact and they have sort of a struggle, and Thornwall kind of flips him over the window, the same window he was using to spy on everybody. And at a certain point, he makes him fall, and this is the shot. Superimposed again. I haven't seen a shot like this in any early movie ever.
I would say the outlines always give it away, but yeah,
because like if you notice earlier too, they superimpose a helicopter.
Yes, I know, but it's not as obvious, and it's in the distance. This is up close and personal,
Mhm.
right? Now, this looks super fake because this is a 2K version. It's not a full 4K. You can get
Yeah.
this in 4K as well. I think Cassie said she has a 4K as well, but this is a 2K, and it's a little bit too much, a little
Mhm.
bit too much. But you know that was the special effects at the time. Um, where is it? Where is it? And it kind of
Technical
ends
difficulties.
there, right? There's no. One thing, the not the day after, but after
Well, because
Jeff was
after
recast. So
yes,
he
so
has
well he falls and he breaks his other leg, and then he even gets his time to be snarky to Doyle and say, "Now
yeah,
do you have enough evidence?"
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they, he asks, he's like, so they find out that Thorwald confessed there was something in the flower bed. He had actually moved it and moved it inside the apartment. So
yeah.
they were right about their suspicions there. And he said, like, they mentioned everything about the East River, and they asked, "Do you want to go with us?" And Stella goes, "No, thanks. I want no part of her." It's like,
Yeah. And that was good.
that's
But
great.
to me, we discussed Hitchcock and abrupt endings. This one kind of ends with a sort of a happy little
That's an
end.
epilogue. They're like, this is a film that actually, this is the one so far that has a true actual epilogue to it.
Otherwise, it just ends there with Jeff on the floor being snarky to Doyle and the nurse being snarky to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get this epilogue, and I was like, I didn't expect this to be happy, happy, joy, joy all the time.
No, but it's kind of fitting for this one because this film, even though it is macabre in the fact that in 1954 they wouldn't be typically talking about a man murdering his wife and dismembering her at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, it's just kind of a classic whodunit. It's even though we know who done it, but it's trying to prove that he did it.
Yeah, it's more of a murder mystery rather than a Hitchcock thrill ride
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
getting
It's almost like one of those old episodes of like CSI, and the sense is like you have like the crime itself, and then it's like, oh yeah, we have to figure out exactly like what happened to get
Oh, yeah.
evidence to tell the cops
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So
and
yeah.
you piece together these evidence that for the cops is like, this is circumstantial, this is not enough, give us more. However,
Mhm.
our protagonists are not CSI agents.
Yeah.
No.
And what's interesting too is that's the mystery is juxtaposed with basically it's just a story of the slice of life of a neighborhood because at the end we have that given the fact that everything all the neighbors are now truly neighbors and they're getting along. Miss Lonely Hearts is now talking with the songwriter saying like, "Oh, your music is helping me so much." And we get to see even Miss Torso, her husband comes home and
He is the biggest, smallest simp ever.
the
And I
only
was
thing I
like,
could think of is Do you remember that old show MASH?
yes,
Yeah.
Radio from MASH.
yes, yes, I know. And I was
That
like,
was all I could think. I was like,
I mean, MASH came in what, 70 something, right? The movie.
oh, the movie that was
They came out with the movie and then they came out with the show.
yeah, was that late 60s?
Uh,
I can't
I
remember.
don't remember. But it was Donald. Oh, I forgot the name. See? The Alan Alda character was played
Yeah.
by Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
And his friend, I don't remember, because I haven't seen the movie in such a long
It's been a
while.
long time.
Yeah, but they came out with the movie and then they came out with the show. And some of the
Yeah.
cast from the movie actually came to the show, and most of them didn't. Like, they replaced a lot of.
I believe in the series finale, Donald Sutherland was actually in that
It could be.
when they closed the series. But anyway, but at the very end of the film, we got it. So at the beginning, they were drawing the blinds up, and at the end, they draw the blinds
They
down,
draw the
and
blinds
that's
down as well. Yeah. And of course, and this is what I wanted to get to. So she's there in the apartment during the day, not at night. So it seems like she feels comfortable being there. She's reading Beyond the High Himalayas as if she wants to do what he does. However, as soon as she realized he fell asleep, immediately that gets tossed out, and she's reading like a
it's a fashion
magazine.
magazine, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. It's like, no, she has not changed at
Yeah.
all. He hasn't changed and she hasn't changed, even though they had that whole ordeal happening around them. And that's the end of the movie.
So there was no end credits when they said Rear Window. So there's
Nope.
like Waka Waka, and then no. Oh.
No, it's just like it's drawn. Well, that's how Hitchcock films typically end, where it's just like, yep, it's movie's over.
No superhero landing. No. Let's. Never mind. I was
See,
gonna say
I'm really glad too, because you know what it would have been in the modern climate. Like that film would have had something where he ends up proposing to her and they're planning their wedding or something at the end of this.
Too hetero for today.
You know what I mean, though. The typical kind of like that's how the movie would end today.
Yes,
but also they would have been gender swapped, and they probably would have been race swapped too.
Yeah. And then like the whole thing is just about what a creep he is, and then something about systematic oppression and all the other tropes that just ruins movies.
Yeah.
And then it will also have the exact same title as the 54 film, so that people won't look for the 54 film. So
exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Would have been probably taken away by the cops because he's like a peeping Tom, and he has weird pictures of all of his neighbors in precarious positions, and he is bad because he looks at everybody. Blah blah blah. Yeah, they would call him an incel. All the usual trope that we see today, but. To this movie from 1954, watched it. Really glad I'm really glad we covered it because it's such a staple, and this trope has been done throughout the years in a certain variety of ways. Have I seen a murder happen or haven't I? Is it me in my head? Like, take all the usual unreliable narrator kind of thing, or you topsy-turvy that, yes, doing exactly like this movie where the guy or the gal being crazy kind of hinders their way into telling everybody the actual truth of what actually happened, because he or she has seen it happen or know that it happened, and they just have to prove it. So your typical, like this, a murder mystery. Really enjoyed it. Found it oddly contemporary, to be completely fair, and would watch again. Not now, but in a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months.
Eventually, I'll watch it.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
There's a few movies that we've seen that I didn't think I would watch again, but I did. Oddly enough, and watched it with my wife. Usually, I try to get her to watch every single movie that we cover. That does not work well. But eventually I do get her to watch. I mean,
you learned that lesson from the Rules of Attraction, didn't you?
She is definitely not going to watch Rules of Attraction. However,
I didn't think so.
She might watch this with me.
I mean,
Jacob,
As far as this movie goes with like me, like I think it was a while since I had seen this one. Like obviously this movie has expired so many clones of this one. I think one of the better ones is Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. You guys remember that film in 2007? So I kind of like go back and have to like watch the film that kind of expired it all. And one of the things for me is that I'm very big into like movies that have like strong storytelling and strong characters. And I think like the storytelling arc with this film, especially given the time period that it comes from, is one of the biggest things that stands out to me. This is why this is definitely a film you can go back and watch at any time. It's still great. It gives you a great window into what you say is one of the great old times of like old school Hollywood, back when they were actually focused on like making movies and stuff like that. So yeah, there's obviously some questionable issues you can talk about with Hitchcock just as a person. I mean, there's some things that you can label suspect, but this is a very good film from top to bottom. I mean, if I had to give it like some kind of rating, I'd give it a solid 4 out of 5. So
Yeah, I'm there with you. About an 8 out of 10.
yeah,
I think that's fair.
It's not to be fair, of the 3 that we've done so far, this is the lowest one, just because
yeah.
you can't really compare it to The Birds because it's such a different level. I would actually compare it more to Vertigo, where there's a mystery,
Mm-hmm.
but Vertigo is a lot more of the unknown, where it's looks like it's supernatural, but it actually isn't. But it makes you think it's supernatural. So it's somewhere in between mystery and supernatural, like The Birds. Somewhere in between. I would rank this 3. Of the 3, I would rank it 3 on a default, because it doesn't really go into the supernatural.
No. Well, and that's fair. And you have to take into consideration too that The Birds was actually a complete deviation from form for Hitchcock as well, because he wanted to make The Birds a horror film. He did not want to make it a typical Hitchcock-esque thriller. He didn't want to make it a murder mystery or anything that's revolving around any work that he had done previously. He wanted to make just a straight up horror film, and that's what he did with The Birds. For its time, that was considered horror, and it did terrify people too at the time. But that was in the early '60s. No, The Birds.
Yeah. The Birds I can see, especially after we know that he did stuff on purpose.
After, just put it this way, Jacob, after the original theatrical release in England, when people left, he had sounds of birds flapping and squawking play outside the theater when they left.
We said he's an asshole.
He's a real piece of shit.
Anyway, that kind of concludes our show. You out there who are still watching with us, next week we are going to cover the granddaddy, even though it kind of came afterwards, the granddaddy of them all, Psycho. We're actually going to do Psycho. We have a special guest. Hopefully he'll actually be here. Adam Krigler, who has still not watched the movie. He's literally coming into Psycho, the original.
That's amazing.
Fresh. So that's going to be very, very, very interesting. But until then, Jacob, tell us where we can find you, except for this.
Yeah, don't go there. You don't want to find me over there. Find me somewhere else. But no, Side Reviews, YouTube, Twitch, Rumble. We're trying to get some more subs there so we can start streaming on there consistently as well. Basically coming up this week, we're going to be talking about, this Monday, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm also going head to head with my good buddy Rob Motto, as we're going to talk about the film The Nice Guys, which is the Shane Black film from a few years ago, because I love the movie. He hates the movie. So it should be a good topic for both of us to go at. And then Tuesday, like I said, Barroom Podcast. Wednesday night, I'll be on Bounding into Comics with John Trent, Spencer McCauley, and Josh Berger. And then outside of that, I'll be working on adding some content here for the next few weeks. So still got a lot of work to do, but you can catch me on all those places there.
Are you going on Culture Show on Sunday evening?
I should be, if he's having one this Sunday evening. So yeah.
Oh, you might miss another one.
I don't know. I haven't heard. But if there is a show on Sunday, I'll be there.
Cool. cool. You can catch him. You can catch Jacob wherever he is, and go to Twitter. Follow him on Twitter, on Twitch, on stuff. You can I think on one of your Twitter accounts, you have the link in tree, so you can go to Jacob's actual website where you can read all the reviews he's done. It's fucking insane amount of reviews that you've done. And also can our humble show. You can interact with that with our humble show on Twitter. My DMs are open at Meffistoe. You can write me there, whatever you want. You can write to Instagram, Meffistoe79, and you can email the show at the Reel McCoy podcast at gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe. Mostly just watch the show, enjoy it. We've got last week I said it's episode 88. This is actually episode 88.
88, yeah.
There's a whole slew of episodes, whole slew of movies that we've covered with various guests and mostly by ourselves, just enjoying the conversation. So you can check those out or join me on Monday for the Monday watch party as we watch movies together this Monday. Can't believe I'm doing this to myself. We're going to watch Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. I love the book so much, and I hate the movie so much. The Philosopher's Stone, even though key stuff is missing, it's actually the closest one to the book as possible. However, it's not the best one of the series. I think Prisoner of Azkaban is very faithful and really damn good. Really, really damn good. So from me to you, from Jacob, from all my feelings, good night, and have a good time. I don't know. Enjoy your weekend. See ya.